Pineapple. What's up, witches? It's me, the Zen Witch, here with another unboxing. Hopefully Pyewacket will join us. But what we're looking at today is the runes, and I'm getting, deeper and deeper and deeper into the collection, coming to close to the end. Hold on. Where are you, boy? There he is. I can scoot. All right. So I have my old stained shedding, I don't know what's up with this set of runes here. And then I have a set of rune cards, and I'm doing this side by side because they really are the same thing, just a different form. And right off the bat, I'm going to bitch about cards. Having cards when the runes are the runes. It's kind of like doing the I Ching with cards. Can we just stick with the tool that as it's meant to be? But there actually is a good reason to have the cards, and I'll tell you why as we go in. So these books are by Ralph Blum, and this was way back, in the beginning. Basically, you could have tarot, you could have some kind of an oracle, 8-ball Ouija board, and the runes. That was kind of it for divination tools. The copyright on this book, 1982, 1987. So obviously I got this one after 1987. And we have these nice clacky stones. Looking at them now, and I have not used these a tremendous amount. I mean, early on, I did a fair amount of reading with the runes, but now, for the last decades, I haven't used them. And I'm looking here and seeing how this, this stone-like material, which I love, it's so lovely and clacky, but see the chips that are happening here? And this one's got like a big divot out of it. You'll also notice on this one, I had to make my own because I did not get this one. I got 2 X's instead. So fortunately, I was able to just convert one. If it had been a different one that wasn't as easy to convert into the one that was missing, I probably would have just painted it white and drawn it on anyhow. So here we go. So Ralph Blum was the first one that put out like a majorly available, widely available thing about the runes. This is from St. Martin's Press. To lend courage to virtue and ardor to truth, the oracle of the self, the emergence of the runes, consulting the oracle, Runemal, the art of rune casting, Runecraft, 3 new spreads, a destiny profile interpreting the runes, theater of the self, and afterward magic in the present tense. So here's why I think the cards are helpful. Because the books are virtually identical. I mean, let's look at the chapters here and see how far off the original he went when he did the cards. So in this, we get the 3 Norns, or goddesses of fate, live under the Yggdrasil, the tree of life, where they weave the web of fate and guard the golden apples from which the gods receive experience, knowledge, and eternal youth. Urd, the wise and ancient Norn, teaches lessons of the past, while Verdandi, who is young, fearless, and straightforward, bids good use of the present, and Skuld, who is closely veiled, warns the gods of future evil. So we've got a triple goddess thing going on here. Let's see. Return of the Western Oracle, consulting the Oracle, rune card games, sacred and ordinary, runes and healing, runes and dreaming, the cycle of initiation, runes, faith, and prediction, creating the oracular individual, and interpreting the rune cards. So definitely a different table of contents, which is, I do appreciate. Hey, looky what I didn't do here. You know me. I never have my shit together. There we go. I don't know if that made much difference. Anyhow, when you look at the beginning of the books, the runes we line them up from right to left. And then inside the inner flap, we have what they mean inside the back flap, we actually have the names of them. So I'm kind of disgruntled that I have to go to two different places to see the name and the meaning. Would it not make more sense to put those two things together so you can start making that connection as you're going through and memorizing the names? You'll see, okay, Manaz is the self, Manaz is the self, but you have to look in two different places for that unless you're going through here. So let's just walk through the names of them and what they mean. And you know what? I'm going to open this for the names, but then I'm going to go to the cards because, and here we have a little book. There are 25, so it's small. And that's one of the things that's wonderful about the runes is it's very manageable. It's a divination system that would be easily and quickly absorbed as you work with it, since there's only 25 of them. All right, so we have Manaz, the self. And here's what the cards look like. On the backs, we have kind of a speckly thing that I'm sure my camera is going to absolutely refuse to. Oh, it did. And we have them all listed. Are they all listed? No. This says something. I wonder what it says. I don't know that I'm going to look it up. All right. The self. Manaz, the self. So you see on the front of the card, you do get an image of that rune. And one of the reasons why the cards would be so much easier than the stones is that when you're trying to memorize them in order, you can put the cards in order and just go through. Now, having said that, there are different orders. And I do not know this lore. You know, this is not part of my major practice. I haven't spent that much time with the runes. But I do know that there is an Elder Futhark, and there are different orders. That's as far as I can go with you right now. One of the things that called this to my attention was a group called Heilung. And I will link a video down below of them performing. I think the song is called Futhark. And the order that they have them in is different than the order that this book puts them in. But there is, it says Futhark traditional order. So this is an order that maybe he put them in. Let me see if it says anything about this. Preface. Introduction. Runes as visual metaphors, innovations and resources, a Gaelic blessing, return to a Western oracle. Futhark. Okay, so the Futhark has them in order with Fihu Urus Turisas Ansus Raido going through, and that spells out Futhark. Kano, Kenaz. However, he puts them in a different order. All right. The original Germanic or Elder Futhark is comprised of 24 letters and was probably in existence as early as the 2nd century BC. The later or younger Futhark was reduced to 16 letters by the 9th century AD, while later Anglo-Saxon Futhark alphabets expanded to include as many as 33 letters. The Elder Futhark was divided into 3 families of 8 runes each. And that's where the Futhark, the actual Futhark, comes from. All right. In the runic, I'm not going to read all of this while you're sitting there tapping your foot. At any rate, I'd be interested to know why he did not put them in the original order. Was it meaning-wise? Was it, you know, why? All right. At any rate, here's the order that he puts them in, and we're going to look at the name and the meaning of each. So we have Manaz, the self. We have Gebo, partnership. We have Ansus, signals. Otila, separation. Uru's strength. Perth, initiation. And again, you see the image of the rune worked into the image on the card, which I kind of like. Then we have Nautis, constraint. You see it here, here. Ingu's, fertility. Ewa's is defense. Algi's, protection. Interesting, the difference between defense and protection. Defense is an active thing. Protection is a receptive thing. Fihu, which is possessions. Wunyo, joy. Yera, harvest. Kano, opening. Tewaz is warrior. Berkana, growth. Ewaz, movement. Lagus, flow. Hagalaz, disruption. Raido, journey. Turizas, breakthrough. Dagas, wait, hold on. Something went haywire, hold on. 22, Dagas. This is, oh, something got switched there. So this is Raido, journey. This is Turizas, gateway. Dagas is breakthrough. And the images are fairly descriptive. Isa is standstill. Suwelu is wholeness. And then we have Odin. This is the blank rune, the unknowable. All right. So as I was saying, this came to my attention with this song by Heilung, where they are chanting through these runes. Fihurus Duri sasan susrairo kano gebo wunyahaga. You know, and it's like, I'm listening to it and I knew they were chanting the runes. And I pulled out the book and it's like, okay, this is wrong. And I looked at the back where it says traditional order. So that tells us that the way he's done it with this set is non-traditional. And again, I always question, I want to see that information up front. Explain to me why you're doing what you're doing. Let's see if there's any information here. Yeah, you know, probably have to read the book to find that out. Am I going to do that? Who knows? Anyhow. So putting these together, let's put them in their little bag. And I do love this medium, this material, because it's lovely and clacky. It's kind of the same stuff that the amulets of the goddess were done in. I'd love to get my hands on some. All right. So let's try like one from each. And going into the book a little bit more. The 3 new spreads. Let's look at consulting. So in consulting the oracle, and there's a lot of quotes and poems and things to look at. The rune of hospitality. I saw a stranger yestereen. I put food in the eating place, drink in the drinking place, music in the listening place. And in the sacred names of the triune, he blessed me and my house, my cattle and my dear ones. And the lark said in her song, often, often, often goes the Christ in the stranger's guise. Often, often, often goes the Christ in the stranger's guise. Very interesting. Okay. So, the real voyage of discovery consists not in seeking new landscapes, but in having new eyes. That's Marcel Proust. Lord, grant me weak eyes for things that are of no account, and strong eyes for all thy truth. That's Soren Kierkegaard. We walk by faith and not by sight. St. Paul. Once you start exploring the world of runes, you will discover that many people have developed their own form of personal rune casting. There's a man who works the boardwalk in Venice, California. He sits on an old sheet on which he has painted the rainbow circles of a bullseye. He has a bag of stones, shells, and twigs, and when you have posed your question, he scatters his runes and reads from their spread. There are people who work with sand dollars, bits of bone, stones upon which they have scratched their own symbols, pieces of paper, index cards that they've put pictures on. Then there is what one of my friends calls Noah Webster's oracle. He opens the dictionary at random, taking his counsel from the words to which his finger points. Yes. So, side story. I had some books that I got from helping a friend cleaning out a house from someone who passed away. And this person was a professor, and she had so many books and so many antique books that nobody wanted. So we not being able to walk past a book, we brought a whole bunch of them home, and there were some that were really old and others, that I'd had from years ago, and some were dictionaries. And we were making something for Hogwarts and I said, why don't you take one of these books and let's convert it, cut the pages and convert it into something, we were making it into a chalice. And so I wasn't sure. It's like, do we destroy this book? It's an old dictionary. Nobody wanted it. And I decided to ask the dictionary, do we use this? I closed my eyes. I opened it up. I looked at the words at the top of the pages. The one on the left said Dumbledore. I shit you not. That was the end of that. Okay, so anyway, bibliomancy is a great thing. So he's just talking about oracles in general here. Consulting the runes, setting aside a special time each day. Appropriate issues, anything that relates to timelessness and right action. Runic override. Occasionally you may find the counsel you receive doesn't seem to fit the issue posed. When this occurs, consider the possibility that the runes have tuned into a more significant issue. Absolutely. When I would be doing sort of bulk readings or quickie readings, a person would sit down and I'd say, frame in your mind the issue that's uppermost for you that you want information on, but no, the cards are always going to tell you what you need to hear the most. So cards can override too. Upright and reversed, consulting two oracles. When you first start using the runes, you may want to check them for accuracy, in effect to calibrate them. This can be done by consulting two different oracular instruments on the same issue. When I began working with the runes in order to confirm their responses with those of a known and wise friend, I would often address the same issue both to the I Ching and the runes. Time after time, I found the two oracles to be in accord. Yeah, absolutely. Oh, look, there's a bridal song written in runes, the art of rune casting. The Great Invocation. Let's do that. Let's ask allies and ancestors, guides and guardians to please come be with us, bring us your wisdom, open the door to insight. Take us where we need to go. Let's do the Fire of Azrael. Let me get a little bit of that in the bag. There we go. Shake it up with the Fire of Azrael. All right. Now let's read the invocation. This is by Alice Bailey. From the point of light within the mind of God, let light stream forth into the minds of all. Let light descend on earth. From the point of love within the heart of God, let love stream forth into the hearts of all. May Christ return to earth. From the center where the will of God is known, let purpose guide our little wills, the purpose which the masters know and serve. From the center, which we call the human race, let the plan of love and light work out, and may it seal the door where evil dwells. Let light and love and power restore the plan on earth, by Alice Bailey. So you'll notice a lot of Christian references here. Interesting. Never noticed that before working with this. All right. So let's ask. Let's start with the runes. I'm going to just pick one of each and see what happens. So please show us how. You know what? I'm going to take 3. They're telling me 3, 3, 3. Okay. Please show us how we can move out of survival and into thriving today. Show us how we can step up into our empowered self with clear eyes, with disciplined will. Show us how we can be our best selves today. Here comes the first one. I believe that's a reverse. Here comes the second. And the third. You notice I'm picking with my left hand. All right. They probably should go this way. All right. The first one is indeed a reverse of Kano. And the meaning of Kano, and see, I can't look at Kano, I have to look at the number, is opening. I wish they'd just put them together. Kano, opening. Why not? Why wouldn't you do that? Opening, fire, torch. This is the rune of opening, renewed clarity, dispelling the darkness that has been shrouding some part of your life. You are free now to receive, to know the joy of non-attached giving. Okay, so opening, but it's reverse. Let's look at the reverse meaning. Expect a darkening of the light in some situation or relationship. A friendship may be dying, a partnership, a marriage, some aspect of yourself that is no longer appropriate to the person you are now. Receiving this rune puts you on notice that failure to face up to the death consciously would constitute a loss of opportunity. Kano is one of the cycle runes. Reversed, it points to the death of a way of life invalidated by growth. Reversed, this rune calls for giving up gladly the old and being prepared to live for a time empty. It calls for developing inner stability, not being seduced by the momentum of old ways while waiting for the new to become illuminated in its proper time. So yes, letting go of the old and being willing to be in that blank place for a little while, to live for a time empty. The cycle runes. See, I wish there was something here that just said, here's what cycle runes are. He's talking about where he first ran across the runes. The 3 groups were named after the Norse gods. Okay, so the group's named after the gods. He doesn't say in an easily findable way, so sample readings, Warrior's Creed, interpreting the runes. So one imagines there's a set that is more core than the others. Runes of comfort, runes of rectification. Technique, sample reading, the cycle of initiation. Here we go. 13 of the 25 runes focus directly on the mechanism of self-change. You may find it useful to watch for the 13 as you undergo your passage, since taken together they comprise a cycle of initiation. These runes make up an energy framework within the body of the runic alphabet, an armature, so to speak, facilitating and sustaining the process of self-change. The 13 are Ansu's, signals, the messenger rune. Otila, separation. Uru's, strength. Perth, initiation. Nauti's, constraint. Ingu's, fertility. Kano, opening. Berkana, growth. Ewa's, movement. Hagala's, disruptive natural forces. Raido, communication. Turisa's, place of non-action. And Daga's, breakthrough. Are these anywhere in order? Sus, Otila, Perth. No, they're not. So, okay, whatever. Getting frustrated. And this is where I teeter between, should I be doing research on these things? But this is, my purpose here is as an unboxing and a take on this particular oracle. and, author and the efficacy of it, not the history of the runes. So that would be another video, which would require study, which I'm not doing right now. Okay, so we have this one saying it's time to expect a darkening of the light. Well, as I shoot this in November of 2020, this is what we are. We're in the darkening of the light. So what do? We kind of step into the acceptance of things that pass away, that there are times when the moon is waning and the sun is waning. So we accept that. The next one here is Tewaz. Warrior energy, the sky god Tu. This is the rune of the spiritual warrior. Always the battle of the spiritual warriors with the self, funding a will through action yet unattached to outcomes. Remaining mindful that all you can really do is stay out of your own way and let the will of heaven flow through you. These are among the hallmarks of the spiritual warrior. Hold on. Looking for my baby boy so I don't squish him. Bye, Wacket. Are you up here? Okay, guess not. Embodied in this rune is the sword of discrimination that enables you to cut away the old, the dead, the extraneous. So this is the card after, or the rune after this one. So it's talking about a darkening of the light, and then this is saying, as a spiritual warrior, when we go into the dark, we go and look at what do I not need? What is extraneous to me? What is vital to me? So we determine what's extraneous by looking at what is really vital for me, what is necessary to my survival through this time, and then cutting away the excess. So rather than, looking at thriving, this is like trimming down to what you need to survive. And yet with Tewaz comes certain knowledge that the universe always has the first move and the last. Patience is the virtue of this rune, and it recalls the words of St. Augustine that the reward of patience is patience. Funny that it's warrior energy, but we're here talking about patience. So what does that tell you? That the strength of the warrior is in knowing when to act and not acting rashly. Here you are asked to look within, to delve down to the foundations of your life itself. Only in so doing can you hope to deal with the deepest needs of your nature and to tap into your most profound resources. The molding of character is at issue when Tewaz appears in your spread. So talking about really with a will going inside and going to the deep, dark places, to the deepest needs of your nature. Associated with this rune are the sun, masculine energy, the active principle. The urge toward conquest is prominent here, especially self-conquest, which is a lifelong pursuit. True fact. And calls for awareness, single-mindedness, and willingness to undergo your passage with compassion and in total trust. In issues of relationship, devotion to a cause, an idea, or a path of conduct, the warrior rune counsels perseverance, although at times the kind of perseverance required is patience. Tewaz is a rune of courage and dedication. In ancient times, it was this glyph warriors painted on their shields before battle. Now the same symbol strengthens your resolve in the struggle of the self with self. All right. Third one is Yera, which has no reverse, and interestingly is the one right before. So we got runes right in a row. 1, 2, 3 is the order they go in the book. This is number 13, 14, 15. And it ain't a matter of shuffling because they're stones. This is harvest, fertile season, 1 year. I mean, that's where we're at, right? A rune of beneficial outcomes, Yeda applies to any activity or endeavor to which you are committed. Be aware, however, no quick results can be expected. So we're talking about going into the dark here and, the darkness increasing and being willing to go even deeper into that dark without answers in order to get to the deepest part of ourselves. And then that's where the harvest is. It's not going to be quick results, but if you nurture, if you go in and do the work and are committed to the work, then the harvest happens. A span of time is always involved, hence the keywords 1 year, symbolizing a full cycle before the reaping, the harvest, or deliverance. You have prepared the ground and planted the seed. Now you must cultivate with care. To those whose labor has a long season, a long coming to term, Yeda offers encouragement of success. Know that the outcome is in keeping of providence and continue to persevere. Boy, this is speaking to me directly. Remember the old story about the farmer who was so eager to assist his crops that he went out at night and tugged on the new shoots. There's no way to push the river. Equally, you cannot hasten the harvest. Be mindful that patience is essential for the recognition of your own process, which in its season leads to the harvest of the self. Very good. All right, let's see what the cards come up with for us. And this is going to be the easiest shuffle in the entire world, except they're clumpy. That was a little disappointing. And you know what I need? I need some sandalwood. Y'all about to see my slippers here. My fuzzy slippers. Interesting that, the reason I want to smell sandalwood right now is because these runes are taking me back to, the early 90s, when I used to go to a place at an arcade up in Cleveland. It was a shop called Manifestations. Metaphysical shop, deep esoterica. It was a wonderful place. And in this old arcade, you went in, the shop was small. It smelled amazing. It smelled like incense and old books. And I got some really great stuff there. And I used to go there and buy these sandalwood logs. It was sandalwood powder compressed into logs, pure sandalwood powder. And so as I was sitting here looking at these, I got that vibe from back then, and I really needed to smell sandalwood. So, all right. Okay, so same question to you. How do we go from survival into thriving? Can you show us maybe the way out? We go into the dark, we nurture that, and here are the 3. No, here are 5. Show me 3, please. Partnership, strength, separation. All right, so this is pretty easy. Do I need to look these up? We're talking about, as we go into the dark here, really connecting with our partners, strengthening relationships, in new ways. We haven't been hanging out with each other all summer, but as we go into the dark, we need to really make sure we're touching in with people that we're not physically with. At the same time, the people that we are physically with, let's look at how we can focus on those partnerships and allow them to sustain us, and we sustain each other in partnership. We strengthen each other in partnership. So we have partnership, separation, and strength in the middle. So I am going to look these up, and we're going to go to the card book to look these up. And this would be a great time to compare meanings in the books. See if there was a rewrite. All right, number 2, Gebo, partnership. First of all, just look at the difference in the books. The original one just has a picture of the rune. This has a picture of the card and a little verse. Gebo says, I am your beloved. You are my true companion. We meet in the circle at the rainbow's center. Coming together in wholeness. That is the gift of freedom. Drawing this rune is an indication that partnership in some form is at hand. It's another realm of partnership. So the writing is identical. Except that, hold on. Okay, yeah. Gebo, the rune of partnership, has no reverse, signifies a gift of... Okay, so the writing is identical in both. Drawing this rune is an indication that partnership in some form is at hand, but you're put on notice not to collapse yourself into that union. This phrase has stuck with me since I got these runes. Not to collapse yourself into. So this is where something big just flew over. Wow, that was a big shadow. Okay. This is where, when we have a situation that ripens into something that is desirable, something that we want, when we're manifesting something, oh my God, is there a huge shadow going over? Come back, please. We tend to just go, okay, this is going to be it for good and forever, and we want to collapse into it. What happens here is we lose ourselves, and particularly in partnership, when we collapse into it, we give up our selfhood. And maybe we stop working on the relationship, or we stop working on ourselves. So that's a warning, and I've always loved that phrase. For true partnership is only achieved by separate and whole beings who retain their uniqueness, separation. So, even as they unite, this counsel applies at all levels in love relationships, business matters, partnering of every kind. Remember to let the winds of heaven dance between you. There is another realm of partnership that we are being called to consider, for the path of partnership can lead you to the realization of a still greater union with the higher self, union with the divine. The ultimate gift of this rune is the realization of the divine in all things. God always enters into equal partnerships. I like that. This has no reverse, signifies the gift of freedom from which all other gifts flow. So look at this, how in partnership, we also have to nurture our separate selves, our separate identities, our separate passions, our separate purpose. And when we do that, we keep ourselves strong, we keep ourselves growing, and the partnership is naturally going to grow and evolve along with that and stay something living and breathing. Think about it. When you don't work on yourself, the partnership can become stale. If the partnership stagnates and we relate to each other as we are locked in at the beginning of this partnership, and then maybe I go on and work on myself, and my partner's working on themselves, the self. I never know if what's right there. And then, we grow and evolve, but the partnership stagnates, and somewhere down the line, that partnership is going to break apart because we haven't nurtured it and helped it grow as we are growing ourselves. So we must do both. We must keep ourselves strong. We must keep our separate passions, our separate space, and that makes for the strongest partnership. Now we're going to look up Otala too. And 2, 4, 5, interesting that we've gotten clumps together through all of this. Retreat, inheritance is what separation says. Paths divide, old skins are shed. How skillful the means that free you to become more truly who you are. This is a time of separating paths. Old skins must be shed, outmoded relationships discarded. When this rune appears in a spread, a peeling away is called for. I like his language. Think of that. Peeling away. Part of the cycle of initiation, separation is a rune of radical severance. The proper action here is submission and quite possibly retreat, knowing how and when to retreat and possessing the firmness of will to carry it out. Real property is associated with Otala, for it is the rune of acquisition and benefits. Inheritance. However, the benefits you receive, the inheritance, may be derived from something you must give up. Such a surrender can be particularly difficult when that which you're called upon to abandon is an aspect of your behavior or some part of your cultural inheritance. Like our racism, maybe? For then you must look closely at what until now you have proudly claimed as your birthright. Whether it is your attachment to your position in society, to the work you do, or even to your beliefs about your own nature, the separation called for will free you to become more truly who you are. So we had partnership there, which is a gift to, retain your separate self within a partnership. Let's look at strength, manhood, womanhood, the wild ox. Honor, this is Uruz. Honor your passage into darkness, honor the dying, the new life holds promises unimagined by the old. So this is a passage tomb that it's showing here. A dolmen. The rune of terminations and new beginnings, drawing strength, indicates that the life you have been living has outgrown its form. Now, okay, keywords: manhood, womanhood, the wild ox. Then we get that it's the rune of terminations and new beginnings. Why don't we say that up at the top here? Hold up. Manhood, womanhood, the wild ox. So, nowhere do we have in the keywords that this is ending, beginning energy. Okay, that form must die so that life energy can be released in a new birth, a new form. This is a rune of passage and as such part of the cycle of initiation. Growth and change, however, may involve a descent into darkness as part of the cycle of perpetual renewal. Okay, over and over again, we are hearing about descending into the darkness. Over and over again. This was talking about the light turning dark and going at it with a warrior's patience and discrimination in order to, I forget what this one was now, in order to reach the harvest. And see, looking at these, I have to look up because I don't really remember what that means. But if we're looking at these, I'm not going to know the rune name, but I sure am going to know what it means, right? All right. Like this, I see this, I'm going to see harvest and the field and all that. All right, strength. As in nature, the progression consists of 5 parts: death, decay, fertilization, gestation, rebirth. Events occurring now may well prompt you to undergo a death within yourself. Since self-change is never coerced, we are always free to resist. Remain mindful that the new form, the new life, is always greater than the old. Prepare then for opportunity disguised as loss. This could involve the loss of something or even someone with whom you've had an intense emotional bond and through whom you're living a part of your life, a part that must now be retrieved so you can live it out for yourself. Interesting that this is strength, but all we're looking at is loss and rebirth and endings. In some way, that bond is being severed, a relationship radically changed, a way of life coming to an end. Seek among the ashes and discover a new perspective and new strength. Okay, now we get to the strength part. The original symbol for Uruz was the aurochs, a wild ox. When the wild ox was domesticated, a nearly impossible task, it could transport heavy loads. Learn to adapt yourself to the demands of such a creative time. Firm principles attached to this rune. At the same time, humility is called for, since in order to rule, you must learn how to serve. The rune of strength puts you on notice that your soul and the universe support the new growth. All right, we're all over the place here. I'm just feeling all over the place. I'm looking at strength and this dolmen, this passage tomb. So that does talk about passage through. But then we're getting into relationships and adapting to creative times and bearing a burden and ruling and serving and new growth. So I'm going to go back to my originals here, talking about partnership, separation, keeping your separate self available in the partnership, and that becomes a source of strength. If we look at endings and beginnings, we could look at a partnership that is ending, and a new beginning here is going separate ways. Okay. I would say, if you don't have a set of runes, runes are one of the must-haves. Like I was talking about in the beginning, tarot, oracle, runes, boom, 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 that's what we had, So I think everybody needs to have a set of runes in their collection. How deep you go with them is entirely up to you, as with anything. I'd say they're certainly worth having. I have done many, many amazing readings with these runes. And I will put the links below to not only Heilung's song where they are chanting the runes, but there is one where the main dude, and there's a beautiful woman priestess in this band that's just like, she's incredible. And he actually goes out on a platform out into the audience and gets out his bundle of, they don't show his runes, or whether they're bones or what, because I think, possibly early on there were twigs, and how they fell in shapes made the runes. That's a possibility. Don't know that that's true. But he sits there and he actually does a reading through this whole thing. And while he's doing reading and the rhythm is playing, she's behind and she is making the runes with her body. So I will put both of those videos below for your enjoyment. I hope that you give them a shot and get yourself a set. Make yourself a set. So easy to do. Get a branch that's like this big around. Get somebody to cut it into slices for you. You can make them out of clay, but obviously drawing your own runes is going to be a lot more powerful than buying a set. You might need to buy a set to know how to make them, but I'm sure there are videos everywhere on the YouTube about how to make a set of runes for yourself. Go off and do it. Tell me how you like them. Do you use the runes? Do you use them often? What's your experience of them? Drop a comment down below. Drop a donation down below to support my work if you care to. You can also join my Patreon and my Discord. You can also buy me a deck, and I'll do a reading for you. I hope you do, because I'm winding down my collection here, you guys. In less than a month, I will be out of decks to unbox. Does that terrify you? Then you better buy me one. Thanks so much for sticking around, you guys. You give my life purpose. I will see you tomorrow for another unboxing. Until then, this is the Zen Witch. Blessed be.